Okay, good morning. Hopefully we can see this. Okay, good morning. We hear a lot about the wolf in sheep's clothing. And I've used it myself. But I guess what I never explained about the wolf in sheep's clothing is its parable. It's not one side or the other. Okay, let's take it. We take the wolf as the aggressor, the agitator. That's how we perceive the wolf. And the sheep we perceive as the calm, the humble, the spiritual. And generally what happens is when people are talking about the wolf in sheep's clothing, in other words, a sheep is telling you who the wolf is. Well, the sheep in wolf's clothing is you. We have both sides of that personality. We have both characteristics within. But yet people want to perceive themselves as the humble sheep, as the humble lamb. But see, the ones that explain or tell you about other sheep that are actually wolves within sheep clothing, they're the ones that are envious of the wolf. They're the ones that need to be the center of attention, need to be viewed as the authority. But yet they're just a humble lamb. But you see, everyone wants to rule in one way or another. Everyone wants to be the wolf, and sometimes we have to be the wolf. That's true. And sometimes we want and need to be the lamb. That is also true. But if you don't realize that you're both and one and the same, that's the trick. You see, the one that is telling you about a wolf disguised as a sheep is envious of the wolf. But they don't want to be perceived as the wolf. They want to be perceived like you and I. We're not the wolves. They're the bad guys. And it's just like the narcissist. It's a very humble way of controlling you, of controlling your thoughts. And we don't realize it, but we want to disguise ourselves, or we choose a side. I'm not the wolf at this moment. I am the lamb, or one of the sheep. But yet when we act in a, let's say, dominant way, okay, you're in traffic, you get pissed off. Well, aren't you the wolf at that moment, realistically? But see, we only perceive it from good or bad, not that we are one and the same. And that's the idea about knowing yourself. We are capable, more than capable, of being both. See, a narcissist and a, quote, wolf in sheep's clothing, they want to be the authority. They want to be looked up upon or looked up to. They need that sense of, in the hierarchy of the collective, they need to be the authority. Just in the small, it's very subtle in most cases. and then sometimes rears its ugly head. When someone tells you how to think or what you should think of something, it comes over humbly. But is that not the wolf? No, I want you to see it from my way and my way only. And if that's the case, and if you don't agree with their point of view or their perception, their perceived notion, then you're the lamb to be slaughtered or up for slaughter. You know, we don't have to agree or disagree with any of our friends. We choose to do one or the other. Now, some of us will stand up and go, no, I think that's bullshit. But most of us will take the side of not saying anything. Not even disagree or agree. So we're the actual sheep being ruled by the wolf at that moment. Now this perception is kind of misleading. We're fooling ourselves, basically. That we're not capable. We couldn't possibly be the wolf. We couldn't possibly be the narcissist. That's frankly childish. We all have it within us to do that. See, give an example. Let me use an example. Okay, let's take Nino Rodriguez, for instance. He's a former heavyweight boxer, truther now. And what he will do is he will bring people on his show. I don't watch him all the time, but on occasion I will watch for a little bit. But I rarely ever make a full show. But, for instance, he will bring people on his show with completely differing views than his. And the blessing of him is that he's willing to listen. He's willing to see something from another side, regardless of what people in his chat think. And you can even see in his chat that I'm leaving, I'm not just staying listening to this person's bullshit, blah, blah, blah. But see, that was a choice. Regardless of whether you like the person that's within the show, the whole idea is he's literally trying to make you think. He's trying to make you see from other sides, which, in his defense, and in my respect for that, is he's willing to buck the system. He's willing to take a stand of saying, hey man, let's hear the person out. And that's what the sheep collectively don't do. They don't say, oh, let's hear this out. Guys, let's just take a listen to this. Because see, we can't see it. We have to hide ourselves. We want to shield ourselves. Because it literally is, you take it quite personal. And it's not that you neither disagree or agree with the person's views. But see, your own personal beliefs are being challenged, and therefore you are somehow challenged. And that's the whole idea, to challenge yourself, to see with a different perspective. Most of us, when we, at some point in the morning, we wake up, whether we shower, get up, wipe our face, whatever, we look in a mirror. And we can only see one thing. We can only see the image of what we perceive. And men and women do see their own perspective. But if we're honest, we're not necessarily seeing the reflection that's coming back at us. In that moment when we're honest, we're not critical. Women have a tendency, and I don't mean this disrespectfully, I see this in my wife all the time, and in the women that have been within my life. Women see the subtle imperfections, the crow's feet, the lines, the process of aging. Men do as well, they just see it differently. I mean, I just cut my hair. Now, I'll be 60 this year, and I still have a lot of dark hair. It's hard to tell with the short haircut. But the majority of my hair is dark. And I don't care about that. I'm not balding. And, I truly don't like hair. If it was up to me, I would shave my head, which I have done many times in the past. I don't care for hair. My brother's balding. Most of my family, on my side of the family, all the males are balding in different stages. I'm one of the few males in my family that actually have hair. And why I'm telling you about this is it's kind of funny because of perception. The males, see the head of hair. And they compare it to themselves, that they don't have hair. Where I just see the person. I don't care if they got hair or not. Same with the woman. And many of you ladies may not want to hear this or not, but crow's feet are attractive. That means you laugh a lot, in my perception. That means you smile a lot. See, I see the positive in that. I don't see it as age-related. I see it as a life of having very joyful moments, and a lot of them. I would rather see that in someone. I don't want to see a plastic face of youth because I'm no longer young. But these are things that our perception internally sees as geared, as driven sometimes. So getting back to the sheep in wolf's clothing, a lot of the sheep are envious of the wolf. A lot of the lambs are envious of the wolf. And like a pack, there's always a dominant and a not so dominant, and then the least dominant within a quote collective or group. But even within that group, let's say the least strongest in that group doesn't see themselves as the least strongest. They just see them as part of the group. But see, most of the sheep will have the perspective of, well, that's the least strongest sheep, instead of seeing their brother or their sister for what they are. And it's how society gears us. I've said before, there's tons of big channels out there. I don't care. I don't want to become a big channel. I don't. I've gotten some new subscribers, and I'm thankful for them. That's great. but I only want to get to the people that want to hear what I have to say. You know, if I hit 1,000 subscribers, I would have a hard time with that. Myself. I don't want to be steered by a click or a view or how many viewed this, even though I do look at those because it kind of surprises me what gets views and what doesn't. But more views isn't necessarily great. More subscribers isn't necessarily great. I try to talk openly and honestly in how I feel. And I respect that in return. But there are sometimes a few lambs within the group of sheep that want to be in control, want to be the head lamb. And in fact, they need to be the head lamb. They need to be perceived as the greatest, the best, the authority. And in the spiritual community, most of these things are what happen. They come as being humble, but they want you to see their perspective. And if you don't see their perspective, you're a wolf in sheep's clothing because you won't agree with them. And that's ego. And a lot of the spiritual community talks about ego. Oh, you have to get rid of that ego. You have to get rid of it. But they want to be viewed as the authority. See, even just saying certain things like that, like how the Christians do, you may make a comment on something and they will vehemently attack you. They will just come right after you. That's not what that means. And they will, you're all for the common good. But see, they will attack you. They will judge you. They will judge on their own perception or what they've been fed. There's many things that we learn that we just hold fast to. We will fight you for whatever truth that is. I'm saying open your eyes. Depending on the circumstances, you are the wolf in sheep's clothing. And depending on the circumstances, you are the sheep, the lamb that is envious of the wolf. And in some cases, you're okay being just a lamb the way you are. Just something to think about for today. See you.